Captain Elias Ward stepped off the landing platform of the Triune Trade Nexus, his boots making soft clunks against the metallic surface. The Nexus was vast, a glittering collection of space stations, docking bays, and floating commerce hubs, connected by tubes of light and streams of ships that darted in and out like schools of glowing fish. Traders, diplomats, and travelers from countless worlds moved through the corridors, their shapes and colors a riot of diversity. Elias had visited many stations before, but the Nexus had a reputation that even seasoned pilots whispered about. It was a place where laws bent like light around gravity, where wealth and power determined who could speak and who had to bow. He adjusted the strap of his travel satchel and let his eyes wander. Despite the grandeur, there was an undercurrent of tension in the air, a sense that behind every smile and handshake lay suspicion and hidden agendas. Elias had learned long ago that in such places, appearances were rarely what they seemed. He had come for a diplomatic mission, a simple negotiation for safe passage through the fringe sectors, and perhaps, if he played his cards well, some trade deals that could benefit his crew. As he entered the main hall of the Nexus's Grand Exchange, a sudden hush seemed to fall over the crowd. Traders paused mid-step, and even a few of the larger alien species leaned closer, curious. At the far end of the hall, standing on an elevated platform, were the merchant lords of the Nexus. They were flamboyant in dress, robes of iridescent fabrics swirling around them, adorned with symbols of wealth, conquest, and power. Two of them stepped forward, their eyes glinting with an expression that Elias had learned to recognize after years of experience. The look of someone who believed they owned more than they should. And so, Captain Ward, one of them intoned, his voice smooth like liquid metal, "We honor your arrival with a gift. 2 rare attendants, brought from a distant star cluster. Their service will be yours to command." Elias felt his stomach tighten. He had encountered many gifts in his time, rare minerals, exotic creatures, even humans from fringe colonies. But the tone of the merchant lord made it clear what he was being offered. He walked closer, his stride steady, keeping his hands visible and empty. 2 figures stepped forward. They were identical in appearance, young, with sharp features and bright, intelligent eyes that seemed far too aware of the world around them. Their hair, a deep chestnut, was braided with silver threads that glinted in the light. Their clothing was simple but elegant, with patterns that hinted at both tradition and artistry. Despite their beauty and poise, there was a hesitation in their movements, a wariness that spoke volumes. The merchant lords gestured grandly. "These are the Apache twin sisters, Tala and Saren. You will find them obedient and useful. We assume that your species appreciates such arrangements." Elias felt a surge of anger mixed with disbelief. He had known the legends of the Apache twin sisters, a clan of explorers and scholars known for their courage and loyalty, but he also knew that their presence here was not voluntary. No free beings would allow themselves to be presented as property. He straightened his shoulders and spoke firmly, his voice carrying across the hall. "I will not accept this gift. Not as property. Not in any form." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some whispered in disbelief. Others, clearly offended, gasped. The merchant lord's eyes narrowed. "You dare refuse?" One of them hissed, his tone sharp like a drawn blade. Elias held their gaze. "I dare. I refuse, because what you offer is not a gift. It is captivity. These are sentient beings, not possessions. I will not treat them as anything less than free individuals." For a moment, silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable. Then the twins stepped forward, their expressions a mixture of confusion, curiosity, and cautious hope. Tala, the older by mere minutes, inclined her head. "You mean, we are free to choose?" "Yes," Elias replied. "You can choose. No one here can claim you against your will." Saren's eyes widened. "No one ever gave us that choice before." Her voice was soft, but carried a strength that made Elias nod in approval. The merchant lords erupted in outrage. "This is an insult. How dare a human defy us?" one shouted, while another called for guards. Elias ignored them, keeping his attention on the twins. "You have every right to decide for yourselves. If you want to stay here, fine. If you want to leave with me, that is your choice too." Tala and Saren exchanged a glance. Their eyes, identical in shape and color, conveyed a silent conversation only they could understand. Finally, Tala spoke. "We wish to leave." The crowd gasped. The merchant lords froze, unable to comprehend that their gift had rejected them so completely. Elias offered his arm. "Then come with me. You are free." The twins hesitated, then placed their hands lightly on his forearm, their touch both tentative and trusting. The act itself was small, but in that moment, Elias felt a weight lift from the room, the weight of fear, of submission, of expectations forced upon beings who never wanted them. As they walked through the hall, the crowd parted. Some watched in awe, some in anger. But a few, particularly young traders and travelers from other systems, looked inspired. Elias caught the briefest flicker of admiration on a few faces. Maybe, just maybe, the message that freedom was a choice, not a privilege, would spread. They reached the docking bay, where the Resolute Dawn waited, its hull gleaming under the artificial sunlight of the station. The ship was modest but sturdy, built for speed and endurance rather than luxury. Elias helped the twins aboard and gave them a quick tour of the ship's small common area, navigation deck, and sleeping quarters. "You don't have to follow me," he said gently. "But I hope you will. We can find a place where no one tries to own you, where you can learn, explore, and live as you choose." Tala nodded, her eyes bright. "We want that." Saren smiled faintly. "It is strange, but comforting, to feel choice for the first time." Elias allowed himself a small smile in return. "Then we'll start with one small step, leaving the Nexus behind." As the ship detached from the docking bay and drifted into the glittering expanse of space, the merchant lord's shouts faded into the distance. The station itself seemed to hum with a mixture of irritation and awe. Elias piloted the Resolute Dawn through the safe corridors first, then pushed the engines into the outer lanes, where traffic was sparse and the stars stretched out endlessly. The twins sat across from him in the common area, watching the cosmos scroll by like a living painting. Tala leaned forward, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. "Captain Ward, why did you choose to help us? Humans often take advantage of others in trade disputes, even in your own systems." Elias paused, looking at the stars for a moment. "Because it is the right thing to do. Because strength isn't about owning others. It's about protecting those who can't always protect themselves, and standing up when others choose to do wrong. That is what makes us human." Saren frowned slightly, thinking, "Your people. You choose morality over convenience?" "That is the ideal," Elias said. "Not everyone lives up to it, but it is what we try to achieve. And sometimes, that choice makes a difference like today." The twins exchanged a glance again, silently acknowledging a shared understanding. They were still cautious, still learning, but the foundation of trust had been laid. Hours passed as the Resolute Dawn drifted into the unclaimed sectors of space. The twins explored the ship, touching consoles, examining star maps, and asking questions about planets, navigation, and the oddities of human culture. Elias answered patiently, noting how quickly they absorbed knowledge. It was clear they were clever, adaptable, and eager to learn. As night fell, though, in space, night was just the absence of nearby stars. The three of them sat together in the observation deck. The galaxy stretched infinitely, pinpricks of light scattered across a velvet canvas. The twins were quiet for a while, watching the stars, absorbing the feeling of freedom. Tala finally broke the silence. "I never thought that a human could be so different. That someone could see us as people, not objects. Elias smiled softly. Humans are capable of many things. Some are cruel, some are indifferent, but some choose to do the right thing, even when it is hard. Saren leaned her head back against the wall, eyes closed. I want to see what other choices we have. I want to learn, explore, and, maybe, one day, be free. In the fullest sense. You will, Elias assured her. I promise. Outside the observation deck, the stars continued to move, indifferent, yet magnificent, as if applauding a small act of courage in the vast universe. The future was uncertain, the journey ahead dangerous, but for the first time, the twins were no longer captives. They were explorers, companions, and perhaps, friends. And Captain Elias Ward, pilot of the Resolute Dawn, knew that this small act of defiance, choosing morality over convenience, was only the beginning of something far greater. The Resolute Dawn glided through the outer lanes of the Triune Trade Nexus, leaving behind the glittering stations and bustling corridors of commerce. The vast emptiness of space stretched before them, punctuated by distant stars and drifting asteroids. For a brief moment, Captain Elias Ward allowed himself to relax. The twins, Tala and Saren, were exploring the ship with cautious curiosity, and the hum of the engines created a rhythm that felt almost peaceful. But Elias knew that peace rarely lasted in the fringe sectors. Refusing the merchant lord's offer was not just a moral act, it was a challenge. The Nexus was built on power, influence, and fear. By rejecting the gift, Elias had drawn attention to himself. Traders whispered in hallways, bounty hunters noted his vessel, and even distant factions who had never seen him before would soon hear about the human who defied the Nexus. Tala stood at the navigation deck, her hands hovering over the controls. Captain Ward, she said softly. What happens if they try to follow us? Elias leaned against the console, arms crossed. They might. Some will want to force the twins back. Some will want revenge. But this ship has speed, and we have knowledge of the fringe lanes. We'll stay ahead if we're careful. Saren, sitting on a bench nearby, frowned. I don't like the idea that someone wants to take us, again. I thought we were free now. We are free, Elias said firmly. But freedom comes with responsibility. People who don't understand freedom sometimes try to take it from others. All we can do is protect it and ourselves until we're out of reach. The twins absorbed his words quietly. They had lived most of their lives under strict rules and expectations, taught to obey, to comply, to survive. The concept of defending freedom, rather than submitting to authority, was new to them. Still, Elias's calm confidence and clear reasoning gave them a sense of reassurance. As the hours passed, the twins became more comfortable on the ship. Tala began examining the navigation maps, tracing routes with her fingers, and asking questions about the stars, planets, and trade routes. Captain Ward, she said, how do humans learn to navigate space so well? It seems dangerous. Elias smiled. We adapt. We study. We make mistakes. And we learn from them. Humans are not the strongest or the fastest, but we survive because we keep trying, even when the odds are against us. Saren looked thoughtful. So your strength is persistence? Persistence, Elias said, and imagination. When nothing works, humans find a way. Sometimes, that means using tools in ways they were never meant to be used. Sometimes, it means trusting each other when no one else would. The twins shared a glance. They began to understand that Elias's defiance was not just bravery, it was a demonstration of human ingenuity and moral strength. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped. A small display lit up on the console. Elias frowned and moved closer. We have company, he said. Not close yet, but a scout ship is tracking us, likely sent by the Nexus to observe our course. Tala's eyes widened. They can see us? From so far away? Elias nodded. Yes. The Nexus has resources most independent ships can only dream of. But they are still far enough that we can evade them if we act wisely. He quickly plotted a course through an asteroid field, weaving the Resolute Dawn between massive rocks that drifted slowly through the void. The ship's engines adjusted, accelerating and decelerating with precision. The twins watched in amazement as Elias guided the ship through the obstacles. "This is incredible," Saren said. "I've never seen anyone pilot a ship like this. It's beautiful." Elias allowed a small smile. "It's about knowing the environment and trusting your instincts. Humans are good at that. We learn by doing, by observing, and by thinking ahead. It's not just the ship, it's the mind that matters." Hours turned into a day as they maneuvered through the fringe lanes, carefully avoiding detection. The twins learned quickly, asking questions about sensors, energy shields, and the ship's propulsion system. They were intelligent, adaptable, and eager to learn. Elias found himself impressed by their curiosity and the speed at which they grasped complex concepts. During a brief rest period, the three of them gathered in the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction. Some clustered into distant nebulae that glowed softly with pinks, blues, and purples. The twins leaned against the glass, silent for a while, simply watching the universe. Tala finally spoke. "Captain Ward, why did the Nexus offer us as servants? Why would they think someone would take that?" "Calm." Elias's face darkened slightly. "The Nexus and many others in the fringe see strength as dominance. They believe that controlling others proves superiority. Some humans acted that way centuries ago, but most of us rejected it long ago. Offering sentient beings as possessions is wrong, but some people still think it is a normal practice. That is why I refused." Saren shivered slightly. "I've never been given a choice like this. Ever. Always. We were told what to do, where to go, who we could speak to. And now, we decide. It feels strange. But good." "Good," Elias repeated. "That is the first feeling you should notice about freedom. Relief, yes, but also responsibility. Freedom is not just a gift. It's a choice you must protect." The twins nodded, understanding dawning in their expressions. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped again, this time more urgently. A cluster of ships appeared on the display, moving fast toward the Resolute Dawn. Elias frowned. "They found us sooner than expected. That means someone is actively tracking us and they're not just scouts." Tala and Saren tensed. "Are they coming to hurt us?" Tala asked. Elias shook his head. "Not necessarily to hurt you. Likely, they want to bring you back, or at least intimidate me into surrendering. But we won't give them that satisfaction." He activated the ship's stealth system, a combination of cloaking fields and energy dampeners that reduced their detectability. The Resolute Dawn slipped through space like a shadow, the pursuing ships unaware of their exact location. "Why don't we fight them?" Saren asked, hesitation in her voice. "Because sometimes, the best way to win is not to fight at all," Elias explained. "Conflict risks harm, and our goal is to stay free. We avoid danger with skill and planning, not aggression. Humans are clever that way. We use our brains before our fists." The twins absorbed the lesson, realizing that Elias's defiance of the Nexus was not just about morality, it was also strategy. He was teaching them, showing them how to survive while remaining true to their principles. As they moved further from the fringe lanes and into uncharted sectors, the tension eased slightly. The twins explored more of the ship, helping with minor tasks and learning how to operate consoles, check sensor arrays, and monitor fuel reserves. Elias watched them with pride. In just a day, they had begun to transform from frightened captives into capable individuals who could navigate the stars and make choices for themselves. Later, in the observation deck, Tala spoke again. "Captain Ward, do you think humans are always brave? Or just stubborn?" Elias chuckled softly. "A little of both, perhaps. But bravery without thought can be foolish. Stubbornness without principle can be dangerous. The best humans, at least the ones I admire, combine courage with wisdom and never forget the value of freedom for themselves and for others. Saren smiled faintly. I think I understand. That is why you refused the Nexus. Not just because it was wrong, but because it mattered to you. And to us. Yes, Elias said. And now, you will see that freedom is worth protecting, even when it is hard. There will be challenges ahead, but we face them together. The twins nodded, their expressions determined. For the first time, they felt like they had a future that belonged to them, not one dictated by others. They were free. And they would remain free. No matter the obstacles. Outside, the stars continued to move, and the resolute dawn pressed forward into the unknown. The journey ahead was uncertain. But Elias, Tala, and Saren faced it with courage, intelligence, and the unshakable belief that freedom was worth fighting for, even if the fight was one of wits, strategy, and moral strength rather than violence. In the quiet of space, the first bonds of trust were forged. Elias knew the twins would need guidance, protection, and wisdom. But he also knew that they were capable of extraordinary things, and as the distant stars glittered like scattered diamonds, he felt a deep sense of hope. The Nexus might be powerful, but humans and those who chose freedom were even stronger in spirit. The resolute dawn moved silently through the dark stretches of the fringe, a region of space rarely mapped and even less patrolled. Stars sparkled faintly in the distance, their light reflected on the ship's hull like scattered jewels. The twins, Tala and Saren, had grown more comfortable with the rhythm of the ship, but their expressions often betrayed a mix of awe and apprehension. Freedom was exhilarating, yes, but it also carried responsibility. Captain Elias Ward stood at the helm, eyes scanning the holographic displays that projected the ship's surroundings. The pursuers from the Nexus had disappeared from sensors, but he knew better than to believe the danger was gone. In space, tracking could be subtle, indirect, and patient. Just because they had avoided detection once didn't mean the threat was over. Tala leaned over his shoulder, her fingers brushing against the controls. Captain, how do you always know where to go? How do you stay ahead of them? Elias smiled faintly. It's not magic. It's observation, prediction, and planning. You watch the environment, understand the behavior of others, and think several steps ahead. Humans are not the fastest, but we are clever. And cleverness can be more powerful than speed. Saren, sitting across from them, frowned. But what if we get caught? What if the Nexus sends a ship that is faster, stronger, impossible to outrun? Then we adapt, Elias replied calmly. We don't fight if we don't have to. We think. We find ways to turn problems into opportunities. That is what humans do best. Use their minds before their fists. And sometimes, cleverness wins where strength alone fails. The twins absorbed his words quietly. They had never encountered this kind of thinking before. In their lives, rules were fixed, outcomes predetermined. Here, choices mattered. Strategy mattered. Freedom meant responsibility. Hours later, as the resolute dawn drifted near a dense asteroid cluster, Elias paused. This is perfect. The cluster can shield us from long-range sensors. If we navigate carefully, we can pass unnoticed. Tala's eyes widened. Isn't it dangerous? Every path worth taking has risk, Elias said. But the rewards, freedom, safety, and experience are worth it. I'll guide us through. Some of say fore and left side. I'll fanly and present. The ship entered the asteroid field, weaving between massive rocks that shifted slowly in space. Sensors pinged constantly, calculating distances, velocities, and trajectories. The twins watched in amazement as Elias adjusted the thrusters with precision, keeping the ship on course without a single collision. This is incredible, Saren whispered. I've never seen a human pilot a ship like this. Elias chuckled softly. It's practice, focus, and trust in the ship. You learn to anticipate, to react before a problem becomes a threat. Humans are persistent. We learn from mistakes and improve every day. Tala nodded thoughtfully. I see now. Freedom isn't just about being allowed to move. It's about knowing how to protect yourself, how to make choices, and how to act wisely. Exactly, Elias said, and that is why I refused the Nexus. They offered you as property because they saw you as objects, not as thinking, capable beings. But humans value choice, independence, and courage. And I will never take that away from anyone, especially not from you. The twins exchanged a glance, a silent agreement passing between them. Their trust in Elias was growing, and with it, their own sense of confidence. As they navigated the asteroid field, a sudden alert lit up the ship's sensors. A small probe ship, sleek and black, appeared at the edge of the field. It was too late for subtlety. The probe had detected them. They've sent a tracker, Elias muttered. It's small, but it can relay our position back to the Nexus. Tala's eyes widened. What do we do? We outsmart it, Elias said. Follow my lead. He activated a series of electronic signals, creating false energy readings around the ship. The probe moved closer, scanning, but its sensors were misled. Then, Elias directed the Resolute Dawn through a narrow gap between two massive asteroids, impossible for a larger ship to follow. The probe hesitated, recalibrated, and eventually drifted away, unable to pursue further. Saren exhaled in relief. That was amazing. You didn't fight them, but you defeated them anyway. Elias smiled. Sometimes, the best victory is avoiding conflict. Clever thinking and quick adaptation can solve problems more effectively than force. That is what makes humans strong, not just our bodies, but our minds. Hours turned into days as they continued through uncharted sectors. Tala and Saren became more engaged in ship operations, learning to monitor energy levels, manage fuel consumption, and interpret sensor data. They asked questions constantly, eager to understand both the mechanics of the ship and the philosophy of human problem-solving. One evening, as the three of them sat in the observation deck, Tala spoke softly. Captain, you said humans learn from mistakes. But what if mistakes cost lives? Isn't that terrifying? Elias nodded thoughtfully. It is. But mistakes are unavoidable. What matters is how you respond. Do you panic? Or do you analyze, adapt, and correct? Courage is not the absence of fear. It's acting wisely, despite fear. That's what we do in space, and that's what we do in life. Saren leaned against the glass, looking out at the stars. I never thought freedom would feel like this. Exhilarating, but also heavy. Responsibility feels like a weight, but a good one. That weight is your choice, Elias said. Freedom is not just about leaving captivity behind. It's about carrying your decisions with you, learning from them, and growing stronger. That is why I refused the Nexus. It wasn't easy, but it was right, and you are learning the same lesson, how to protect yourselves and make choices that matter. The twins nodded, absorbing the wisdom. They had begun to understand that freedom was not just a gift, it was a challenge, an opportunity, and a responsibility. The next morning, sensors detected a small cluster of habitable asteroids with minimal resources. Elias decided to land briefly, to allow the twins a chance to stretch, explore, and experience something new. The landing was smooth, and the ship settled among the rocks, protected from long-range scanners. This is your chance, Elias said. Explore, learn, and enjoy. But stay alert. Space is unpredictable, even in safe areas. Tala and Saren stepped out, their eyes wide with wonder. Small plants clung to the asteroid surfaces, and crystalline formations sparkled under the light of a nearby star. They moved carefully, touching the rocks, observing the micro-ecosystem. For the first time, they experienced freedom in motion, not just as passengers, but as explorers. This is beautiful, Saren whispered. I never imagined anything like it. Tala knelt near a crystal formation, examining its structure. Everything is so different. I feel alive. Not because someone told me to be, but because I can choose to be. Elias watched them with quiet pride. They were learning, not just about space, but about life itself. The lessons of freedom, responsibility, and courage were taking root. As the day passed, Elias monitored the surrounding space. No ships approached, no signals interfered. For a brief moment, the resolute Dawn and its small crew felt truly safe. Yet, Elias knew the danger had not vanished. The Nexus, though temporarily thwarted, would not forget this act of defiance. As evening approached, the twins returned to the ship, their expressions tired but exhilarated. Captain Ward, Tala said, I understand now. Freedom is not just leaving something behind. It is about facing the unknown with courage, learning, and making choices that matter. Yes, Elias said, and every day, that choice becomes easier to see and harder to ignore. You are growing, and so is your understanding of what it means to be free. That is a journey that will last your whole lives. The twins nodded, silent for a moment, letting the weight of the lessons settle. The stars outside stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to the small act of courage that had begun with a single refusal. Elias knew the journey ahead would be full of challenges, surprises, and lessons. But he also knew one thing with certainty. Human ingenuity, courage, and moral strength combined with the choices of the twins would guide them through the unknown, no matter what came. As the resolute Dawn lifted off the asteroid, moving back into the open reaches of space, Elias allowed himself a small, quiet hope. The Nexus might send more trackers. Other dangers might appear. But for now, the twins were learning what it meant to be free. And he was there to guide them through clever thinking, careful planning, and the courage to act rightly when it mattered most. Freedom, Elias knew, was not granted, it was claimed, protected, and nurtured. And together, they would navigate the stars, step by step, choice by choice, building a future where no one could claim another's spirit. The resolute Dawn sailed steadily through the quiet stretches of uncharted space. Stars glimmered in the distance, painting a galaxy that felt infinite and full of possibilities. Captain Elias Ward guided the ship with calm precision. But he knew better than to relax completely. Freedom was never guaranteed, especially after defying the powerful Nexus. Tala and Saren were at the navigation deck, examining star charts and learning to read sensor readings. Each new skill they acquired was a small victory, a step further into autonomy. For the first time, they could think and act without constant oversight. And they were beginning to understand the weight and joy of that independence. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected a presence ahead. Elias's brow furrowed as he activated a magnified scan. The image appeared on the display. Sleek, black ships, moving in perfect formation. Their design elegant and purposeful. The markings were unmistakable. The Apache star clans. The Apache clan, Tala whispered, eyes wide. They've found us. Saren's hand went to her chest, as if to steady herself. I never imagined we would see them again so soon. And in this manner, Elias studied the fleet. They've come in force. But they're not attacking. They are observing, likely deciding how to respond. Tala glanced at him. Will they be angry? They might be, Elias said honestly, but I don't fear anger when you are in the right. They value honor above all else. Your choices matter, and they will see that you made a choice to be free. That can earn respect, even if it surprises them. As the resolute Dawn approached, a communication channel opened. A voice, firm and melodic, spoke directly into the ship's systems. Captain Elias Ward, the voice said. We are clan envoys, Tarek and Lyra, of the Apache star clans. You have our attention. The twins are under your protection. Explain your actions. Elias nodded and opened a channel. I will speak honestly. The twins were offered to me by the Nexus as attendants. I refused. Because they are sentient beings with the right to choose. They requested freedom. And I accepted that request. They are not property. They are free. A silence followed, heavy with consideration. Then Lyra spoke. Freedom, a difficult concept for some. But your words carry truth. We have heard tales of humans who act with both courage and integrity. If your account is accurate, you have acted rightly. Tala and Saren exchanged glances. The clan's response was cautious, but not hostile. Respect could be felt in their measured tone. Tarek continued. Captain Ward, escort the twins to the observation deck. We wish to meet them and hear their own words. Elias complied, leading the twins to the deck. The Apache ships hovered nearby, their black hulls gleaming against the stars. Through the display window, the twins could see the envoys approaching in a smaller vessel. Elegant and fast, Tala stepped forward, her posture calm but proud. I speak for myself and for my sister, she said firmly. We are free. No one can claim us against our will. Captain Ward offered us a choice, and we chose freedom. That is our right, Saren added, her voice steady despite the tension. We appreciate the clan's concern for us, but we are not captives. We are explorers, travelers, and learners. Our choices are our own. A quiet murmur ran through the clan vessel, their sensors recording the twins' words. Elias watched carefully. The Apache valued honor, courage, and truth. And the twins' declaration reflected all three. Lyra's voice returned. Your words are clear. Your choice is noted. The clan values your courage and clarity. You have acted with wisdom, and your freedom is recognized, Tarek added. You have proven that Captain Ward is not one who acts out of greed or selfishness. He has honored your autonomy and preserved your dignity. That is a rare quality among humans, as we have observed. The twins breathed a little easier. For the first time, they felt fully acknowledged by their own people, and by someone who understood the stakes. Elias allowed himself a moment of quiet relief. Tala looked at him, a small smile on her face. Captain Ward, thank you. You kept your word, and you kept us free. Elias nodded. It was the right thing to do. Humans are not perfect, but we try to act rightly. And sometimes, that is enough to make a difference. Lyra's voice came again. Captain, your actions have created an opportunity. The clan seeks a future where humans and Apache star clans can share knowledge, respect, and mutual protection. You have shown that humans are capable of honor, courage, and moral strength. That is a foundation for friendship, not conflict. The twins' eyes widened. The clan's words were more than recognition, they were an offer of alliance. A chance to build bridges between worlds that had never truly connected before. Tarek spoke again, tone measured but approving. Freedom is fragile, but it is also powerful. Those who respect it are strong in ways that cannot be measured by weapons or wealth. Captain Ward, you have demonstrated that strength. Elias felt a quiet pride. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, seen as impulsive or weak compared to more technologically advanced species. But moments like this proved something greater. Human ingenuity, moral clarity, and courage could stand alongside the finest of any Star Clan's warriors. The clan vessel hovered for a while, observing the twins, the ship, and Elias. We will return to our paths, Lyra said finally. But know this. The twins are safe, and their freedom is recognized by the Apache Star Clans. Should future challenges arise, you have our support, Captain. And the twins' choices will be honored. With that, the clan vessel slowly departed, its black hull disappearing into the stars. The twins turned to Elias. Expressions a mixture of relief and awe. Tala spoke first. They trust us. They trust our choice. Saren nodded. And they trust you, Captain Ward. You protected us not just from the Nexus, but from doubt and fear. You showed them the right way. Elias smiled softly. It was not me alone. You made the choices that mattered. I only guided and protected. The courage and clarity came from you. The twins looked thoughtful. For the first time, they realized that freedom was not just a gift given by others, it was a responsibility they carried. A principle they could defend and uphold. Hours passed as the resolute Dawn moved deeper into uncharted space, guided by human skill, wisdom, and the newly acknowledged autonomy of the twins. Elias allowed himself to reflect on the day's events. Refusing the Nexus had not been easy. The pursuit, the threat, and the negotiations with the clan had tested every ounce of patience and judgment. But the result was worth every risk. Tala and Saren spent the remainder of the day exploring the ship, asking questions, and learning. Every moment of curiosity, every question about stars, navigation, or culture, was a victory for human-led mentorship. They were not just passengers, they were students, explorers, and equals in the journey. In the observation deck, Elias finally allowed himself a rare moment of quiet reflection. He looked out at the endless stars, feeling a mix of relief, hope, and anticipation. The Nexus threat was still out there, though diminished, and the galaxy remained unpredictable. But for now, he had achieved something remarkable. The twins were free. The clan respected that freedom, and humanity had proven once more that courage, ingenuity, and moral clarity could stand against coercion and fear. Saren approached, her hands folded neatly. Captain Ward, do you think there will be more challenges? Will others try to take advantage of us? Elias nodded. Yes, the universe is full of challenges, and not everyone respects freedom. But you are stronger than you realize, and we will face them together. Humans are not the strongest in the galaxy, but we are resilient, resourceful, and guided by conscience. That is strength enough. Tala leaned against the glass, watching the stars drift past. I feel ready. Not just because we are safe, but because we know how to make choices, how to act, and how to stand for what is right. Exactly, Elias said. Freedom is not passive. It is action, thought, and courage combined. You have both, and that makes you formidable. As the resolute Dawn sailed into the starlit void, the three of them felt a profound sense of purpose. The Apache star clans might return, other factions might appear, and the Nexus would not forget this defiance. Yet, they were no longer running blindly. They were guided by choice, skill, and moral courage. Elias knew that the journey ahead would be difficult, but he also knew something more important. With trust, freedom, and wisdom, humans and those who chose their path alongside them could face any challenge. The stars outside continued their silent dance, infinite and eternal, as if witnessing a small victory of courage, freedom, and honor in the vastness of space. For the first time, Tala and Saren truly understood what it meant to be free and what it meant to stand alongside a human who had chosen integrity over convenience. And in that understanding, a bond was formed that would carry them through the challenges yet to come. The resolute Dawn moved through the quiet expanse of space, its engines a soft hum beneath the observatory deck. The stars stretched endlessly outside, bright and eternal, as if they themselves were witnesses to the events that had unfolded. Captain Elias Ward sat in the pilot's chair, hands resting lightly on the controls, but his mind was far from the instruments. Today was not just another journey through the fringe, it was the beginning of something far greater. Tala and Saren stood beside him, gazing out at the stars. Their expressions were calm, thoughtful, and, for the first time in their lives, fully free. The Apache star clans had acknowledged their independence. The Nexus had been outmaneuvered, and the twins had learned to navigate not just a ship, but the responsibilities that came with choice. It feels strange, Tala said softly. To think that we are finally our own masters. That no one can force us to obey. I can hardly believe it. Saren smiled faintly. It feels like waking from a long dream. But it is also empowering. I feel strong in a way I never have before. Elias nodded. That is the feeling of freedom. It comes with responsibility, yes. But it also brings opportunity. You can explore, learn, and grow. You can decide what kind of life you want. Not what others impose on you. Tala turned to him, determination shining in her eyes. We want to make the most of that freedom. To learn from humans, to explore space, and perhaps, to build connections between our people and yours. Elias smiled, warmth spreading in his chest. That is exactly what I hoped you would feel. Freedom is not just about leaving captivity behind, it is about taking the chance to shape your own destiny. The days that followed were filled with exploration, both of space and of the ship itself. Tala and Saren learned to read sensor data, map star systems, and even make minor adjustments to the Resolute Dawn's engines. Elias watched them with pride. Their intelligence, curiosity, and growing confidence were a testament to what humans often admired in one another. Perseverance, creativity, and courage. But freedom alone was not enough. Elias knew that the galaxy was vast and unpredictable, and challenges would always arise. The twins had already faced pursuit by the Nexus and scrutiny from their own clan. Now, it was time to take proactive steps to build alliances and ensure safety through mutual respect and understanding. One morning, the Resolute Dawn intercepted a small fleet of Apache ships approaching from the far edge of the fringe. Unlike before, these vessels did not move cautiously. They came openly, their hulls reflecting light like polished obsidian. The twins' eyes widened. They're back, Saren whispered. But I think this time, it is different. Yes, Elias said. This is not pursuit. This is diplomacy. They've seen our choices, our actions, and our respect for your freedom. Now they come to offer partnership, not enforcement. The lead ship opened a communication channel, and Lyra's voice greeted them. Captain Ward, Tala, Saren, the Apache star clans have observed your journey. We recognize the choices made and the integrity shown. The clan wishes to propose a formal alliance with humanity, built on mutual respect, knowledge, exchange, and shared exploration. Tala's jaw went slack. An alliance? With humans? Us? Really? Lyra's tone was patient and steady. Yes. The actions of both Captain Ward and yourselves demonstrate that humans can honor freedom and courage, and that you, as members of the Apache star clans, can make choices that strengthen both our peoples. Together, we can ensure that freedom is protected and respected in the galaxy. Elias looked at the twins. Their expressions mirrored his own mix of awe and cautious optimism. This is a rare opportunity, he said, not just for the twins or me, but for both our peoples. Respect, honor, and choice can create a partnership stronger than any forced obedience or trade. We have a chance to prove that humans and the Apache star clans can work together. Tala stepped forward, confidence growing with every word. We accept the offer, on behalf of ourselves and those who follow our choices. But only if the partnership respects freedom, our freedom, and the freedom of all sentient beings involved. Saren nodded. Yes. Respect, choice, and understanding. That is the foundation for anything we build together. Lyra's voice was filled with approval. It shall be so. The clan respects your wishes and honors the principle of voluntary cooperation. This alliance will be one of equals, not masters and servants. As the Resolute Dawn and the clan ships aligned in orbit, preparations began for formal discussions. The twins worked closely with Elias, learning negotiation techniques, cultural protocols, and diplomatic strategy. They discovered that freedom was not just a personal right, it could also be a guiding principle in governance and collaboration. Days turned into weeks as humans and the clan exchanged knowledge, shared star charts, and discussed trade routes that would benefit both sides. The twins took active roles, contributing observations about stellar phenomena, suggesting safer navigation paths, and even mediating minor disputes between different factions within the clan. Their confidence and capability impressed both humans and the Apache alike. Elias watched them, quiet pride swelling in his chest. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, seen as impulsive or reckless, but these moments proved something greater. Ingenuity, courage, and moral clarity could rival the most advanced technologies and the most experienced fleets. One evening, as the twins and Elias stood in the observation deck, Saren spoke quietly. "Captain Ward, do you think humans can always live up to this? To act rightly, to protect freedom, and to choose courage over convenience?" Elias smiled thoughtfully. "Not always. Humans are flawed, as are all species, but what matters is that we try. That we value choice, respect others, and act with integrity. One small act of courage can inspire countless others. That is what happened today, and what will happen tomorrow." Tala's eyes shone. "Then we will try too. We have learned from you, Captain Ward, that courage, wisdom, and freedom go hand in hand. We will honor those lessons in our lives and in our alliance with humanity." Saren nodded, smiling faintly. "Yes. And maybe, together, we can create a galaxy where no one has to be forced, where everyone has the chance to choose, and where alliances are built on respect, not fear." Elias's heart lifted. That vision was exactly what he had hoped for when he refused the Nexus. By standing for freedom, by choosing to act rightly even when it was difficult, he had set a course for something greater than himself. The twins had learned the value of choice, the strength of moral courage, and the meaning of responsibility. Humanity, he realized, was stronger not just in technology or numbers, but in spirit. The days passed with careful coordination between the Resolute Dawn and the clan. Shared knowledge of trade routes, space hazards, and diplomacy strengthened both parties. The twins continued to grow, now recognized not just as free individuals, but as capable ambassadors, explorers, and learners. Their voices carried weight, and their choices shaped not just their own lives, but the emerging alliance. Finally, the day came for the formal declaration. Representatives from human factions and the Apache star clans gathered on a neutral station orbiting a vibrant gas giant. The twins stood beside Elias, their expressions confident and resolute. Lyra addressed the assembly. "Today marks a new chapter. We recognize the courage and integrity of Captain Elias Ward, and the independence, wisdom, and agency of Tala and Saren. Let this alliance be founded on mutual respect, the protection of freedom, and the pursuit of knowledge and exploration together." Elias stepped forward. "We, the humans present, accept this alliance in the spirit of honor and cooperation. We recognize the twins' choices, the values of the Apache star clans, and the importance of partnership based on equality and respect. Let this mark the beginning of shared discovery, shared responsibility, and shared courage." A moment of silence followed, the weight of history and possibility settling over everyone present. Then, slowly, representatives from both sides extended hands, wings, and appendages in formal gestures of trust. The twins clasped hands with the clan envoys, symbolizing the bridging of worlds and the uniting of choices, freedom, and courage. Tala turned to Elias, a soft smile on her face. "We did it. Not just us, but all of us together. Freedom, choice, and honor are stronger than anyone imagined," Saren added, "and we will continue to grow, explore, and protect what we have gained." "This is only the beginning." Elias nodded. "Yes, it is only the beginning. But every journey starts with a single choice, and you made yours. You chose freedom, courage, and integrity. That choice will echo far beyond today." As the Resolute Dawn departed the station, the twins at his side, Elias felt a quiet satisfaction. They had faced threats, challenges, and uncertainty, but by acting with intelligence, courage, and moral clarity, they had not only survived, they had shaped a future filled with hope, alliances, and the promise of freedom for all. The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent witnesses to a small victory of spirit in the vastness of the universe. And in that victory, Elias, Tala, and Saren understood something fundamental. Humans were not the strongest by force, but by ingenuity, integrity, and the courage to do what was right. And that courage, shared with those who valued freedom, could change the galaxy itself.